Let's do it.
This is the SEC Insider Hit. And it's presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue.
Yeah, it was the Highwaymen. That's what I was referencing with Willie and the crew. I've got on if you're watching the show right now on YouTube, I've got on some amazing glasses, and I've got my Willie Nelson 90 years old, I think is what it said when it popped up on my phone. I think I'd had just enough Tito's on the beach, and I thought, there's a commemorative Willie Nelson T-shirt here on my phone. I'll just punch that and order it. And yesterday, Wendy was opening this little bag that had come in the mail, and she went, I wonder what this is. And then she was like, who ordered a Willie Nelson T-shirt? I was like, I did. I forgot about that. That was like last Tuesday or Wednesday on the beach as Tito and I were hanging out.
Yeah, becoming more acquainted. He turned 90 on April 29th, did Willie Nelson.
Okay, so a month ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
April 29th, he turned 90.
Shout out to the legend, Willie Nelson.
It's pretty impressive.
Can you imagine how many, like, AA plus entertainers, musicians he's played with on stage over the years?
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah. He also is very Robert De Niro-esque. He had 8 children. One has passed. Excuse me, 2 have passed. But the youngest is 33 years old, and he's 90. So you can do the math.
Wow.
57 years old when he had his last
Willie
one.
hitting that Cialis.
Yeah. Now, Robert got him even better. Robert's like 82. And
he may be hitting something even better. When you're that rich, there could be other things, you know? So there could
that
be
Jeff
like
Bezos drug.
Yeah, there could be something above Viagra and Cialis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I saw yesterday, you know how we talked about Robert De Niro having a child at
82, I think, right? Isn't it?
I don't know, but something popped up on my Twitter that Al Pacino just got his girlfriend pregnant, and Pacino's 82.
Oh, maybe that's what. And De Niro's younger.
And his girlfriend's 20. Now, I don't know if that was fake. I didn't click into it because you don't ever, I don't know what all that stuff is. But who knows? The bottom line,
it does. Everything says he's expecting another child because he's 82. De Niro's 79.
I thought De Niro was still just a shade under 80.
Yeah, 79 for De Niro, 82 for Pacino.
And they had already done this. Pacino had already done this with what's her name from Vacation, Chevy Chase.
Yes.
The Beverly D'Angelo or whatever
that's
her name is.
Beverly D'Angelo.
So they had kids at like 60 twins.
She was a babe.
She was very
in the
very
Lampoon
attractive
movies, yeah.
And so Pacino, I mean, does he really have that's kind of gross. Does he really have a 29-year-old girlfriend?
I mean, money
according
makes
to reports,
money makes you do crazy things.
And the picture that they show, and by the way, Pacino was a good-looking dude for years and years.
He now looks homeless, though.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said, you ate homeless.
I ate homeless yesterday.
He looks homeless.
And Lee Pace made fun of me, which really wasn't cool.
He's got that Jack Nicholson thing going on where he's just decided, the hair's going to be ridiculous. The facial hair is unkept. Everything's just out. And it's just you think he just walked out of a 12-hour sleep. It doesn't make any sense. He looks awful. Kendall Collins on the Ag Up Equipment text line.
Oh, is Kendall making an appearance?
For the first time in 12 months.
He was going to, he's close to be, getting booted as a P1 listener.
Oh, relegated, as they say in English soccer, right? He was going down a level.
He was going to be in that Class D?
Yeah, he was going to go to
level?
a PD.
That would be even below rookie ball in minor league baseball?
That's right. He says Willie Nelson's supposed to play in Brandon this fall. I did not know that.
At the Brandon Amphitheater.
I would assume that's
correct.
Well,
let's go.
Yeah, I would assume that's correct. We get some pretty – it's impressive that from what I remember growing up to now, like Mississippi has done a good job of attracting musicians and getting good artists here.
Yeah, they have. And we should.
Well, yeah, I agree.
We're on the I-20, I-55 corridor.
And we're the home of blues.
Right.
Like, that we should 100% get musicians.
Well, the birthplace of America's music, period, because that is actually on video from Bono and from Robert Plant, because I've seen the deal. And with all the acts that come through the Bowlands, there's some of those casinos down there, Hard Rock, they don't play around either.
No.
Dude. And those are, that's still musicians playing in Mississippi. Look what our friends at Pearl River Resort. I mean, they've been able to bring in. Dude, I went to Poison last year.
Yeah,
legends.
Well, and they have Jeff Foxworthy coming in. They've already done Larry the Cable Guy. Like it, there's no doubt. Like the entertainment scene, from what I remember young to now, is like I feel like it's up a whole nother level or two.
I don't think there's any doubt. Willie Nelson at the Brandon Amphitheater at 90 years old.
Yeah,
incredible. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds show. We'll have Georgia insider Bill Shanks on the show at 8:30. And also Robert St. John, restaurateur, French chef, on the show at 9:30. Maybe he can share with us his best meal in Europe when he was there for 6 to 8 weeks, and some other things. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Chris Jans and Chris Beard. I know y'all aren't really into basketball right now. This is very football centric, and I get it, and I'm excited about it too. Both college, SEC, and well, even what could happen as far as realignment, expansion, all that. But Chris Jans and Chris Beard have crushed it, either retaining players or going and getting players, and really added. I guess the biggest get is Tolu Smith. I mean, to get Tolu at, what is he now, 23?
Yeah. Proven, right? He's a proven all
one
SEC.
of the best big men in the country. Had to fight off Kentucky for him, among others.
Allegedly.
No, I mean, Cal and them were in.
No, I know. That's all the Kentucky beat writers kind of got dragged because when Tolu, he never entered into the transfer portal, which means technically other schools are not supposed to talk to him, right? That's tampering.
Right.
And so when Tolu decided to forego the draft and come back to Mississippi State, the beat writers at Kentucky were all like, oh, potential Kentucky target, stays at Mississippi State. And everybody was like, wait. He wasn't in the portal. How could he be a Kentucky target?
Right. I love it.
That's not legal.
Hugh Freeze talked about tampering yesterday, and he was basically like, yeah, there's really no way to end it.
No. How are you going to police something that can't be policed?
No. And, all right, speaking of, one of the best quotes yesterday out of Sandestin, and all this is it's almost comical at this point. We are the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds show. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue. Kirby Smart had an interesting response yesterday, talking about all the different topics, especially SEC football scheduling, but we're also discussing storming the field. Are you going to make a team forfeit a game, lose a bowl game, take a loss if their students, alums, fans storm the field? I mean, give me a break. But and then they're talking about sports betting because they can't even get guardrails for NIL. What are they going to do about sports betting? I mean, is there anything more slower than bureaucratic collegiate athletics? So Kirby Smart, interesting response when asked about the challenge of dealing with college football's recruiting calendar while his team is in the middle of a championship run. And I quote Kirby, "The SEC coaches got mad at me in Birmingham, and Mark Stoops told me there's no crying from the yacht because I was complaining about having to play and not being able to recruit. Well, if you are playing, you are getting free advertisement, and that's probably a good thing."
We have a saying around our place, we eat off the floor. And if you're willing to eat off the floor, you can be special.
We've been doing that for years. But I love the fact that Mark Stoops, all the nonsense that we've heard this week from Jimbo, Lane, Sankey, and everybody else, okay? And, talking blah, 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 blah. This, I didn't know Mark Stoops had it in him, but the coaches flew in, I guess, a month or two ago to Birmingham to have a Danish and coffee meeting. And the fact that most of y'all don't know by the way, he's the head football coach for Kentucky. All right. Mark Stoops. All right. And he says there's no crying from the yacht. That is amazing. That's amazing. It's like if you know a trust fund baby who complains about anything in life. Mm-hmm. You're like, dude, you started on third and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody, none of your friends, your wife doesn't care. She's just happy your dad did well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
when Saban was complaining about up-tempo offenses after he had won 2 national titles in a row.
Great example.
No one cares.
No one cared, right? So anyway, it's like Patrick Mahomes complaining. You've got everything you need.
Yep.
You got Andy Reid, you got the Hunt family who owns the Chiefs, and they add weapons to your offensive skill player arsenal every year. But that's a great quote. There's no crying from the yacht.
I love that.
The fact that a football, especially Stoops, who kind of comes off as a former pulling guard in 1987.
Thumper.
Right? I mean, play Notre Dame box. Let's go.
No doubt.
All right.
If you watch Kentucky football, you would agree with that.
Well, and Stoops Stoops 100% believes in a 1957 offense.
Yeah. He had a draftable NFL quarterback, and they still were awful on offense. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. They've never been exciting.
Yeah, no. It's pretty impressive.
They don't believe in being exciting.
And Will Levis, according to all the people in the NFL, he has the skill set to be exciting. Even if he wasn't going to be great, you could have done more with him.
He went in the second round.
Yeah, early.
Who did he go to?
I forgot
Colts,
that name. Right?
He went to the Colts.
Yeah.
Oh, Gardner Minshew. We talked about how it was a great opportunity for Gardner Minshew to not just start.
That's not right. Hold on. Tennessee Titans. I knew it was a blue team. Titans.
Perfect.
Same division.
Right. Gardner Minshew got the Florida quarterback, Anthony Richardson, which is why Gardner could win the job and actually keep it. Or Anthony could be inserted at game 6 or 7 and not be able to hit a broadside of a barn. And then Gardner Minshew's back in game 8 or 9 and rolling through. Mm-hmm. And the Colts, because that division is so weak, Gardner Minshew has a chance to go to the playoffs, which would be incredible because, the Titans are in this weird spot and the Texans are terrible. They make the Browns look somewhat competitive.
Hello.
I'm sorry, NFL Chuck. And then the the Jacksonville Jaguars are trending the right way under Peterson and Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. All right. So to circle back, Chris Jans and Chris Beard have done a really, really good job. And I know that's months away. Actually, Zach Arnett and Mississippi State football did a really good job retaining Crumity and Tulu and all those guys. I don't know how Ole Miss fans would rate Kiffin's portal class, but they're still working. They just brought in another wide receiver. I mean, they have gone all in the portal. Got to get the chemistry right in a short period of time in August. We'll see if it works. Who was that? Patrick Kelly was on from Finch and Kelly in Oxford. Asked him who he thought the starter would be. Jackson Dart. Can you imagine if Spencer Sanders leapfrogs Jackson Dart? I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but can you imagine if it does 3 weeks into camp on August 23rd or 4th? That would be wild.
Isn't it easier at this point, especially to let Dart start and then you can bring Sanders in if Dart stumbles? I feel like that's going to have to be the play.
Well, you know what?
And he will
Dart
stumble.
has to play Alabama and LSU in back-to-back weeks. And that Lane could be looking at that going.
Then I bring Spencer in.
And by the way, any number of quarterbacks could struggle in back-to-back weeks against those teams.
Absolutely.
Okay? I mean, if Jaden Daniels was on Ole Miss or Mississippi State's team,
they would also struggle.
He could struggle. Will Rod, you whatever you want to do here.
Yeah.
But Stetson Bennett wouldn't have a prayer of leading Ole Miss or Mississippi State teams to
any wins.
Successful offensive production if he had Ole Miss and Mississippi State talent and had to take on the monsters of LSU, Bama, and Georgia. But no, that's a good point, Blake. As you look at what could happen to Ole Miss, Game 4 at Bama, Game 5 LSU at home, and are you going to be so spent after? Because they have made this a huge game since Saban got there and they landed Freeze, and Freeze beat them twice. And Kiffin got revved up, and they put everything into that game last year and played them within one possession, but then had no more juice down the stretch and lost games that their fan base didn't think that they should lose, including the Golden Egg at home against a very pedestrian Mississippi State team.
Yeah, see, that's what the first 3 games are what they are. They could roll out Walker Howard and win those 3 games. And so the question is, when you get beat by Alabama soundly, and then you respond and get beat at home by LSU, if that LSU game isn't competitive after the Alabama game's not competitive, do you pull Jackson Dart, right? That would be my kind of timeline, I think. Because if you bring Sanders in, do you risk the 2 things? Do you risk alienating Dart to the point that he either decides to leave, or do you
not during the middle of the season?
Or I don't mean, I'm talking about preseason, like whatever might happen.
Oh yeah.
Or if you choose Sanders, or do you choose Sanders and then Dart mentally gets in a place where even if he comes back on the field, he's not in a place to succeed? I think you can go the other way. I don't know if you can go that way.
Yeah. Well, you got good options. I know that.
And the crazy part is the deepest.
I mean, that's the deepest quarterback room in college football.
And they're deep at running back. They're shallow at receiver. That's the irony in Ole Miss.
Well, they've added a couple lately.
But are they what they need, or are they just pieces?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the. Well, Lane's making over $9 million. So that's the $9 million question: are these receivers like difference makers? And they don't have to be A.J. Brown. That's not what I mean.
No.
Maybe like Elijah Moore Light. Even that is unbelievable at the college level.
Mm-hmm.
We are the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Juniker Jewelry Store. Guys, if you're in the market for an engagement ring, let Juniker walk you through the process so that you will be a 5-star on the day when you pop the big question. Powered by Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison. Obviously, they also have an amazing selection and inventory of diamond earrings, necklaces, bracelets, you name it. Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison, Highland Colony. Bo Bounds, Blake Scott with you. Bill Shanks, Georgia Insider at 8:30 to tell us just how big the struggle is in Athens, Georgia, after back-to-back national championships. Stetson Bennett IV, Mr. Ranch Dressing, will no longer dress out for Georgia. They'll have a new quarterback in the fall, and Georgia will open up, this is so sad, with UT Martin. The fact that Georgia is opening up with UT Martin and Bama's opening up with Middle Tennessee State is unacceptable. Absolutely and totally unacceptable. The 2 games for that weekend are Florida-Utah, and I expect Florida to be better, and LSU and Florida State. I don't know how Mike Norvell beat Ole Miss for Keon Coleman, because I would not have bet on that. But LSU, Florida State, y'all remember that game last year in New Orleans where LSU lost at the end?
PAT?
Yeah.
It's why Brian Kelly says he went for 2 against Alabama.
And Tennessee, Virginia doesn't do anything for me. I expect even Tennessee without Hendon Hooker to smoke the Virginia Cavaliers. And then you got South Carolina and North Carolina. You kind of feel like Mac Brown,
I guess, that
has to win this year, or he could get, let go at North Carolina. The problem for Mac Brown is he lost the best coach on his staff, Phil Longo, his offensive coordinator, who basically just kept that ship afloat, scoring 30-plus points a game the last few years while they couldn't stop anybody. And Phil Longo is now the offensive coordinator. Get this. I mean, the Big Ten may be interesting a little bit. He is now the offensive coordinator for the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah. Luke Fickell, baby.
Luke, my main man, Fickell. What's the guy's name? The actor that Luke Fickell looks like?
Oh, gosh.
Just the great comedian and producer and
we talked about this.
TV show guy. He's real good friends with Rob Lowe and Jennifer Aniston.
Remember.
Well, let's ask the agup.com text line.
Oh, Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's like a skinny Sandler.
He looks like Adam Sandler's younger brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe he could be a half brother.
Definitely.
But whatever. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison. Guys, engagement rings, Juniker Jewelry Store. Need to go pick up a bracelet, necklace, earrings, powered by Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison. John and the crew there do an amazing job. It's not even a mile from where we are. It's on the north end of Highland Colony. It's over there by the men's clinic in Madison. Still, the quote of the week. The quote of the week is Mark Stoops, who for most of you don't know, is the Kentucky football coach. When Kirby Smart started feeling sorry for himself that he couldn't recruit while he's on his way to winning national championship games, Mark Stoops told him there's no crying from the yacht. At a much, 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 much lower level, that's what I'm going to start telling my kids because they have it made too. There is no crying, precious pudding, from the yacht.
That's funny.
We're live in the... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, between that and Kiffin and Jimbo kind of going back and forth at each other, I mean, it's been a spicy couple
Do we
days.
have Kiffin?
Yeah, we have Kiffin right here.
All right, this is Lane Train and Jimbo can't give it up. We're going to go with Lane talking about his feud with Jimbo.
People say certain things that it just cracks me up. So I struggle letting it go on those things sometimes. My SID tells me to let it go, but when someone says that NIL has nothing to do with why someone signs at their place and they sign the best class in the history of recruiting, I struggle with that statement.
When someone tells me that NIL didn't affect signing the best class in recruiting, I struggle with that statement.
Oh,
I love that.
He can't let it go.
He can't. It's because he and Jimbo, they're cut from the same cloth.
Well, and it's because Lane knows that he's a better coach than Jimbo.
Oh.
But he's never going to have
not yet.
Super elite talent at Ole Miss.
No, but he might get it when he takes his next job.
Well, he's eyeing Sark.
I think
even
so,
though
too.
they're buds, Sark is, for our listeners, Steve Sarkisian, we call him Sark. Steve Sarkisian at Texas needs to win or that job will open up. Lane wanted it when it opened up last time, just the timing wasn't right. We are the Out of Bounds Show, Georgia Insider, straight out of Macon, Georgia, baby. Sports Talk Radio. Bill Shanks, Georgia Insider, talking about them dogs from Athens, 8:30. And then Robert St. John will talk food and nonsense at 9:30 on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We are streaming live for you on the Out of Bounds radio app. If you're watching the show, I'm wearing an amazing, super good-looking Willie Nelson T-shirt, honoring the great Willie Nelson turning 90 last month. Lunch today is brought to you by the Catfish Reuben at Highball Lanes in Fondren. It is amazing. Try it today. Catfish Reuben, Highball in Fondren.